The Cyber Nugget is titled Read the Blanking Manual, also known as Read the Blank Manual, because we're not going to swear here today. Alrighty, so quite a few tips, tricks, and hints on this larger topic, so we're just going to dive right in. So, what are we referring to when we talk about read the blank manual? Well, it all revolves around the core theme of upskilling yourself um, with all of the IT and security solutions, software, hardware, and just the devices you immerse yourself with within a client's or organizational environment. So we'll start off with public solution end user guides. So an end user guide against, let's say, a security solution, an end user guide speaks to the end-to-end user surface level navigation of the solution, which is very helpful as you acquaint yourself with the solution, assuming little to no previous experience or knowledge with the capability in question. Moving further deeper, we head into the public solution administration guides. So this now goes several layers deeper, and one could say the end user guide covers really the surface level understanding and navigation of the solution. And an administration guide really peers many layers or levels deeper within the solution's true features and functionality, which will again serve you well in understanding and being knowledgeable in these aspects. Then we move over to the vendor lock contents. So as mentioned earlier, public end user guides, public administration guides. We have some vendor locked content situations. Case in points, if we think about CrowdStrike University, the Darktrace portal, where Darktrace is very well known for making it near impossible, last I checked, through legitimate public safe websites and means to be able to download the various Darktrace administrative and end user guides. It's locked behind a portal. So obviously, if you have your client who has these capabilities, they could always obviously spin up an account for you and grant you the necessary access to get into where you need to where you need to be and where you need to go. Um, the next layer of content, speaking to the importance of reading the manual, really for me, I class this as an advanced level, which is actually the solution's API documentation. So this is truly peering completely in the back end at the raw application application programming interface API call. And this is where at the rawest level, you get to really familiarize yourself with the solution in question and its true end-to-end functionality and features. And this is really useful if you really want to understand and really grasp your solution's capabilities to the fullest. And this is also where you almost are humbled at the end of reading API documentation to truly know that the solution well, the majority of folks work in at the surface level Once you know and understand how the API aspects of the solution work, it's truly next level. And an honorable mention should be given for sure to the API documentation for custom developed solutions in-house. That's really your fellow team members, colleagues, or members from other divisions having built a solution up from scratch. Their API documentation probably doesn't look as clean and crisp as a well-refined public-facing official global vendors documentation, for instance. But again, you still get to glimpse into the back end to truly best know and understand how you could leverage the parameters and the capabilities from the in-house solution. Don't worry, this background is not going to be here forever, just while I speak. I want to actually give a production example or a recent example, speaking to the journey that I went on to really embrace, I would say, the concept of reading the manual. So, relatively new to this side of life. So I had to research, obviously, what streaming software would work best. Obviously, there are paid solutions, and then there are free solutions, such as Open Broadcaster Software or OBS. The quick start guide can be seen as the end user guide, really getting started in 5 easy steps. That's where one begins. And as you peer deeper than this, then you start heading into the all-seeing information landscape from which you can peer many layers deeper. And at the end of that, following true to what I just covered earlier, we also have the in-depth API documentation, which really provides a crystal clear glimpse as to how how highly customizable this open source piece of software, obviously community driven, community sponsored by various vendors and organizations out there. It's obviously been worked on for several years and it's very clean and crisp customization modules and plugin options. You can really take this software and embrace it and adapt it and make it work for you and your very unique or basic broad software broadcasting needs. So, why is it important to read or RTFM? I'm just going to say RTFM at this point. Well, the honest truth is, I'm yet to see any organization fully leveraging all of the features and functionalities from their IT and security solutions. Um, can't say how many times I've walked into a client's environment to get the lay of the land, obviously focused on security operations and incident handling, the review of the incidents, but the solutions themselves, more so falling into the administrative and maintenance sphere of the capability itself, is often left neglected or not really updated with the latest and greatest feature sets and functionalities that have been released by the solution vendor themselves. And the reason why is because most cyber staff are focused on the previous day tasks or incident backlogs and new cyber fires which have arisen during the present day. And what goes along with that is obviously the mandatory ticketing system admin, which is obviously focused on validation and proof in the form of documentation and reporting. which is a given in the blue teamer defender side of cyber. Maybe just a mention here. There is most definitely a strong opportunity for revenue generation, which focuses on technical IT and security solution assessment, reviews, and optimizations. I really don't know how many times I've mentioned it once or twice on LinkedIn, hinted towards it. Someone who is truly a multi-solution, knowledgeable resource walks into a client's environment, gets the lay of the land, either through the access they've been granted or sitting with or shadowing fellow internal or even outsourced colleagues or team members. And just from that, notes down all of the solutions, both IT and cyber, that the organization has, and then really gets into the nitty-gritty aspects of optimization. Is their EDR fully equipped, enabled, and configured to best protect against a wide number of threats? You name it, from the USB to attack surface reduction rules. Um, Again, this is obviously highly specific to a solution use case that one could think about. Another benefit for RTFM really speaks to this scenario. An aspiring cybersecurity professional at the interview stage could not only land the position they are interviewing for, but they could indirectly be placed into a more managed detection and response, or MDR, or security administration focused position based on their deep solution expertise showcased during the interview. So maybe someone applying for a level 1 SOC analyst position, but thanks to their handy, several layers deeper research when it came to RTFM, they not only understand and know the solutions that this organization is using and can speak to, but they really at a deep level, at a much deeper level, at almost an architecture and administration level, they understand these capabilities that could have the interviewer and technical members part of the interview standing with piqued interest, looking at what you're saying and how you're speaking, and really thinking, oh wow, he or she would be a great addition to their MDR administration team, for example. A real life example of this I'd like to share with the folks is, give me one moment. My journey when I actually interviewed at Deloitte South Africa for a level 2 SOC analyst position many moons ago, back in 2021. That's what I originally applied for. And long story short, at the end of the many interview stages, both technical and non-technical, um, I actually didn't get offered the level 2 position, but instead the assistant manager position, which on the ground saw me as being a service delivery manager for a dedicated team of level 1 and level 2 analysts, where I played both a specialist and a managerial role. So you always put your best foot forward, and yeah, 9 times out of 10, it really does work out in your favor. Another example I'd like to share, because talk is cheap, right? Um, I- in the previous position I mentioned, I did have experience with the ServiceNow ticketing solution. Note how this is not necessarily only security focused. those concepts can be applied against IT and cyber and probably other um, areas within the technological career field space. Yeah, I had really a basic usage, really at the most read only end user ticketing admin type level within ServiceNow or Snow. And here came an opportunity again for clients fully leveraging ServiceNow. And I wasn't just, satisfied with the very basic surface level knowledge I had. Instead, I chose to really go much deeper in the form of having a look at what is really out there from an official ServiceNow certification standpoint. Not certification in the sense of just getting a certification to tick a box, but instead to use the exam blueprints or objectives as a real knowledge skeleton framework of the ServiceNow solution. And from that, I went on the active learning journey, several layers deeper than I ever would have imagined, and knew ServiceNow was actually so advanced and in depth and customizable behind the scenes. And from that, I was able to directly apply those newly learned, self-learned skills about snow and applied into my role, which actually had several benefits from a dashboarding and reporting, unique metric, quality control perspective, as I mentioned, being the SDM for my team. And also, what was key there is you really don't know what you don't know at the surface level with a solution when your clients grant you access into these capabilities. You may just stay in your little minimal permission bubble. But if you know the solution in depth at these more advanced levels, you can then very confidently and comfortably request your clients or your customer to grant you more specific permissions along with the reasoning as to why you would want that and how it could benefit even them and your daily protection of them at the end of the day. And they'd be more than willing and happy to assist with that enhanced elevated permission request. Yeah, and to end off, to actually go back to the subject of this video, read the blanking manual in the point of not really saying the profanity, but having those unique characters, the exclamation mark, the at symbol, the hash symbol, the dollar sign. Did you know um, the term for the characters I used in the subject of this video to mask the profanity is actually called Grawlix. You learn something new every day. Thank you for watching.